Thank you very much, Trevor. We are going to get on into the action as quickly as we can because we are here for a historic moment. Today, either Fnatic or G2 will secure the most titles a team has ever had in the LEC.
And I think the most important starting place is kind of what the analyst desk was talking about and where I want to kick it off here. It's when Fnatic and G2 face each other, it is not just about the season meta. It is not about the tournament meta. Is it about the teams knowing each other so well? You heard it from Hilly. We see it time and time again. When you know the ins and outs of either player, there is a Fnatic and a G2 meta, and it will be defined today.
And as we jump on into the draft, you have to wonder how much the series against Rogue yesterday has affected G2. Of course, less time to prep, less time to plan for this team. I saw Wunder tweet, Jankos tweeting about the fact he was up watching the NA semi-finals as well, so maybe he hasn't got all of the rest that he would have liked.
Yeah, clearly taking some very pivotal notes, probably some key notes to prepare for this series today as we get into it. And Vedi, what are you looking at for priority picks?
Priority River Shen, nothing else. Of course, let's think about it. So Lucian was something that G2 went on blue side yesterday against Rogue, had a very high priority on. They're going to immediately take that off the board. When Fnatic played up against G2 last week, we saw a high priority on AD carry bans. Things like the Caitlyn and Kalista were consistently banned away. And I do want to preface by saying that Fnatic did choose red side. They chose it pretty consistently when they played against G2 last week, and it does seem to be the preferred side when these two seem to fight in the current match.
Yeah, now the question will be, with this priority blue side pick, will Ashe go through and will G2 continue to put high priority on that champion, trading something like a Senna and a Hecarim that Fnatic have felt very comfortable playing? Or do you leave Kalista open, allow Perkz to also grab that high priority, and Rekkles has already shown a phenomenal Ashe performance, and we know that Ashe can really get the better of Kalista in these matchups.
And when we saw Perkz get the Kalista early on yesterday versus Rogue, he did actually really struggle with it. Wasn't able to have the impact that he would have wanted in that game one, so perhaps we'll see G2 move away from that today. The Hecarim is removed by Fnatic. Senna gonna get taken away by G2.
Yeah, and it feels like that does put much higher priority on an Ashe first pick here, so now Fnatic will take the risk. What is going to be the final ban? Are they going to ban the Ashe themselves? No, instead they target one of Jankos' favorite champions of that set. Is it Kalista? Is it Ashe? Is it something else?
I feel like it has to be the Ashe, right? You can't afford to give Rekkles his Ashe. I feel like the most European AD carries have picked up the Ashe pick, are now very confident on it, and looks like G2 are going to prioritize that for the time being. The question is, Fnatic must have expected this. So what will they have in response to such a potent AD carry? Will they go for something like the Jhin that we've been seeing pretty consistently? Will they bring out something new? Or will they perhaps go for the Kalista themselves? I'd be very surprised if they did. For now, they're going to lock in support.
I really love the Nautilus pickup here. Obviously, Ashe is a low mobility ADC. It can really make a ruin of her entire day, but more importantly, kind of how it's been played by our top-end supports in unlocking themselves from the lane and setting up great gank pressure on mid lane because he offers so many tools.
Just gives you that level 4 roam ability, right? And that's what Hylissang can do so well. Very good at teaming up with Selfmade, trying to get into some of those other lanes. And right now, it is going to be the Jhin. We've seen Rekkles play this twice already across playoffs. 1-1, lost 1.
And already with the first two picks that Fnatic have, they have great long-range engage tools. Now, this does also put emphasis to get an early Gangplank pick or to at least ban that away, because we've seen Fnatic use that deadly combo before. The Gangplank ultimate comes down, and then Jhin uses his W to snare up and root people. So that is what I kind of expect to come out of Fnatic, and again hovering the graves.
Oh, but we're gonna get the Braum from Mikyx. I'm never a fan of seeing Mikyx on the champion, but I know that it does make a lot of sense in the context of playing into a Jhin and a Nautilus. Also can be quite potent in the 2 versus 2 with an Ashe as well. Very strong disengage. The question is, where is the engage going to come from? The Shen will be locked in. I expect this more to be in the top lane rather than the jungle. But of course, there is that flexibility. Wunder did have a phenomenal Shen performance yesterday in the top lane in Game 5 against Rogue, and I imagine that G2's looking to replicate that performance.
And on the other side, there's the Gangplank. It was pretty much locked in stone. If Wunder wasn't going to deny it, he at least has to know that if that is his Shen, that that's the matchup that he was going to be taking. And we already talked about the combo that Fnatic like to run with this. And also the fact that I feel like Bwipo is just our best Gangplank in EU. He is so proficient at this champion.
I think that his Gangplank in Game 5 was insane. He was such a huge reason as to why Fnatic were able to stall out in the way that they did and stopping G2 from snowballing. The question is, will G2 be cheeky and actually flex this Shen? Because they must have expected a Gangplank response. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did actually move this into the jungle and then they picked a counter pick into the Shen, the Gangplank in the top lane.
It feels pretty risky to move the Shen into the jungle when things, you know, some of these powered junglers are still available for Selfmade. Like, Evelyn is so strong into it, has just been banned out. But if Selfmade can get a farming jungler into a Shen, he could really snowball away this game.
I mean, the idea, though, is that Shen can farm through the jungle as well, get to level 6, and then suddenly you have global pressure in the same way that a Karthus is going to apply global pressure. You don't have to set up for any gank, and theoretically, Shen can get the farming advantage, because all he needs to focus on is farming the camps, and then just using his ultimate to show up where the enemy jungler does.
And look, Sion was banned. The Fnatic is preparing for the fact that it could very well be a Shen in the jungle. They want to respect that, okay, G2 still needs some engage. They still could get a good matchup, so they're going to remove that. I like this ban from Fnatic. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Lilia, come through from the side of G2, remove those scaling, strong AP junglers. And now the question is, what direction will Fnatic go? Will they save their jungle pick for last? Will they lock in a safe mid laner for Fnatic? They could just go for something like an Azir if they wanted to.
I almost feel like they're trying to force Selfmade onto the Graves, and if he does hold it, maybe we also see him go the route of a Kha'Zix here.
Ooh,
definitely an option here for Selfmade. The last time these two teams met last week, Selfmade was so pivotal, so vital for Fnatic to take those wins. Here we'll see Nemesis get the Orianna, and it's going to be last pick jungle for Fnatic.
And again, if you're kind of checked out from EU, just now tuning in for the finals, Fnatic's identity right now is all about their carry jungler Selfmade, allowing him the counter pick to make sure if this is a river Shen or a top lane Shen, so he knows exactly what to do. The Orianna blind. Nemesis isn't really an Azir player. He'd often fall to the Orianna. Likewise, the Zoe was still up and available, so between the Zoe, Syndra, and LeBlanc, that Perkz, or excuse me, Caps is going to have available to him, Orianna at least has the shield, can survive those lanes. So I also just think it was a great pickup, and if that gets locked in, I hope you're ready, Vedi.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a good thing that we and Jankos watched the LCS semifinals last night.
He's learning some Speaker.
I mean, Speaker did have a phenomenal performance on it last night, and yeah, the early game, there is room for it to be punished, but it's such a strong duelist, and when paired up with a LeBlanc, I actually think that you can be very aggressive in the mid-jungle 2 versus 2, and we know that Jankos as a player loves to play around caps during these early levels, so don't be surprised to see level 2, level 3 ganks towards that mid lane.
And as we get into game, we will talk more about the River Shen. If you missed out on the NALCS last night, don't worry, we've got you covered. But until then, looking collectively at the composition, it is a very old-school G2 comp. The ability to play 1-3-1 if they want, a style that a lot of people think is dead right now with how powerful Souls are. And then to round off Fnatic's composition, Selfmade taking his Gragas. I think he is the best Gragas that we have in Europe. He is a masterclass at this jungle.
I think that, yeah, Selfmade is definitely getting himself on another AP playmaking champion. It's going to be very much about team fights for Fnatic. Frosk, you made a great point earlier about how much long-range engage Fnatic have with things like the Jhin ultimate, the GP ultimate. There's so much follow-up as well. Fnatic's comp very much about team fighting, and it's going to be on Hylissang and Selfmade to make a lot happen in the early game for Fnatic. So definitely the player to watch, but of course, we're going to get Jankos on this Shen. Definitely going to be an exciting game one, that's for sure.
It's going to be incredible. It always is between G2 and Fnatic, and we're going to get straight on into Summoner's Rift. Earlier on, we got some insight from Bwipo on Gangplank. Let's check it out.
I personally love playing Gangplank because I feel like he's a very high skill ceiling champion, and I feel like the limits of how hard Gangplank can carry a game are mostly imposed on the player rather than the champion, and I think that makes the champion very endearing for someone that wants to push himself to have the most impact in every single game possible.
We talked about how Bwipo is probably the best Gangplank that we have in Europe. Hopefully, Fnatic fans will get to see it on display this game. I think in particular how flexible Gangplank is, that he can use his ultimate to play around map state and waves, is also exceptionally powerful for a team like Fnatic that hits you fast, hits you hard, and it's not just about using some barrels and team fights, but some of the more creative things that Gangplank can do.
That's certainly true, and when he's going up against Wunder, the champion that was consistently banned away from him by Fnatic was Camille. For those OG OG EU LCS fans, when Wunder originally joined the league, it was Camille and Fizz top lane that he was very well known for. His own Gangplank as well, but Camille has been a champion that he is very successful on and something that he is very comfortable on and has showcased multiple times in his career.
It's also a champion that I think Bwipo still has nightmares about. He went to Worlds, he got rocked by Jungle Camille, and every time you hear him talk about the champion, he's like, oh no, he breaks out into sweat. Does not like it. But I do want to focus on the Shen while we have a moment to really talk about what it's going to do. Now, obviously, we saw it last night in NALCS, and we talked briefly about it in Champion Select. So here's some of the strong things about Shen. Shen is actually a phenomenal ganker. If you think about how Set is a strong ganking jungle, Andrew was telling me how one of the issues that Set has is he has to set up or flash and then use the face breaker, and that gives you actually a small window where you can outplay it, where you can flash away.
Okay.
So technically, because Shen can taunt flash, you have less reaction time, and he's actually better at ganking in that sense. And he's very similar to a champion like a Gragas, who can flash belly bob.
Also gives you that little bit of safety when you can start the taunt and decide if you want to flash, rather than having to use the flash proactively and then hoping that you manage to find the connection.
In terms of his jungle clear, Shen has been buffed up a couple of times over the last, I don't know, it feels like 20 patches at this point. But one of the tricks that you can do is if you use your Q at 1 minute and 17 seconds, you can actually time it that you get 6 empowered auto attacks for the incoming buff on red or blue where you start, and that actually keeps him very healthy when jungling, even though he's not the fastest jungler himself. So he won't take Perkz and Raptor Camp that fast, but he will stay very healthy. His gangs are very strong, especially if he has flash, and once he has level 6, he gets to farm indefinitely and just appear for counter ganks.
And our observers have been following Jankos, and you can see that he went from red into a full topside clear, back into his Raptors, and now he's pathing up towards topside, because with lane priority in the top lane, initially you would expect the topside scuttle, but they're looking for a dive onto Bwipo.
Caps is already out of lane. This is what Fnatic need to stop him from being able to do, because Bwipo could be in for a world of hurt. He's channeling the recall right now, will be able to escape, but if he TPs back into this lane, that could be very dangerous for the Fnatic top laner.
I think for now, Bwipo's going to be fine. Notice that he's just waiting for a little bit more information. They're going to notice that the TP is going to come through from Caps into the mid lane, and now Selfmade has his eyes set on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, Selfmade making use of the counter gank where he is walking out of vision, whereas Bwipo actually had a ward sitting in that tri-bush, so he saw that G2 had made their way up there. Here goes Selfmade.
Poke hits the wall, Selfmade goes in, Perkz is ticking down, and Burst Blood Fnatic. Rekkles secures it.
And again, Perkz and Mikyx are being punished in the bot lane. They were punished very heavily by Hansama and Vander just yesterday on both sides of matchups. Rekkles and Hilly, I personally believe, are the strongest 2v2 that we have in Europe, and if you are going to punish G2 in lane phase, it is through their bot lane, and Fnatic are getting ahead of that very early.
Yeah, we did. We talked a lot about Selfmade being one of the players you have to track for Fnatic in the early game when it comes to setting up early game plays, and while he's a slightly less selfish play style when he's playing the Gragas compared to something like an Evelynn or a Hecarim, you can see that he's still willing to be proactive, still looking to set these plays up, and getting that initial kill onto Rekkles as well is only going to bode well for Fnatic in this early game.
Yeah, the comparison between Jankos and Selfmade has been so important coming into this series. We saw it last week. Here we see Selfmade actually spends less time around his team early on, but he's able to get these big gold leads. He has CS leads at the 15-minute mark as well, and actually almost did as much damage as Rekkles did last weekend.
Now, he has been spotted out by some clever vision from G2, just walking over that ward there, as Hilly and Selfmade are backing up Nemesis to make sure that he can get this wave to crash and assist him in getting the reset. His Caps, with the vision, just says, okay, that's fine, backs off.
This is a really good example of how to guarantee a safe lane, but also to help get priority through mid. You often see it when teams are playing for Drake. Selfmade actually going to pop the Predator, looking for Perkz.
He doesn't have the flash, and the Winter's Bite will just slow him up, so he wasn't able to get in there.
Very nice disengage also by Mikyx, making sure that he can hit the Q.
For now, it looks like things are going to slow down just a little bit. But yeah, I like how Selfmade and Hylissang are working together. Very classic level 4 that we often see from Hylissang on the Nautilus, working with Selfmade. The TP has been invested from Nemesis. I noticed the Caps is level 6, and G2 have their eyes set on Bwipo once again.
So we did see Jankos actually walk right by the side of a ward. His Oracle's alteration did not spot it out, and so Bwipo very safe in the knowledge that Jankos is on the top side of the map, and you can see he was just backing, waiting, spending his time. Hylissang's going to look for engage here. Nemesis has the 6, has the shockwave. Perkz trying to get some damage over the wall, but Mikyx actually just uses the stand beside me to get back.
And a lot of action already in this early game. G2 constantly cheating up towards the top side of the map, while Selfmade and Hilly are really forcing bot side. The flash goes wide, and now Jankos is here.
Flash hook not able to connect. The Winter's Bite goes wide as well. It's a story of missed skill shots in the bottom lane. Everyone will walk away a little bit wounded, but still very safe.
I respect what Hylissang tried to do there, though. It looks like that he was going for Mikyx, and then he immediately pivoted over towards Perkz to catch him off guard. But Perkz, with a nice sidestep, reacts well and does not get caught off. So I love how active Fnatic are being in this early game.
So active, you need to show it on the map. It's like right at this point of the map, next to the LEC banner, that's where they're being active.
This Raptor camp in particular.
I will say Vedius didn't actually touch that on the screen. I'm just teasing him a little bit. It's now off our screen, thankfully.
Okay, but I do want to talk about Hilly because we've so far seen him really team up with a lot of Fnatic and Selfmade, particularly on the map. If you actually look at Hilly's proximity to Rekkles, it is one of the lowest of any supports in our league. He hardly ever spends any time with Rekkles, and what I think is really unique about that is it allows Fnatic different, if you will, formations out of their resets. The fact that you'll often see Hilly more often with Bwipo or Selfmade or Nemesis, rather than just being tethered to his ADC, which also helps Fnatic be so unpredictable and such a skirmish-heavy team.
So far, that unpredictability has secured them first blood. They're about 300 gold ahead. Let's look to see if there's any major CS deficits. I was a little bit worried for Bwipo. He fell behind Wunder early on, but he's been able to keep in with about 5 or 6 CS, meaning he's only about 100 gold behind.
So I'm now looking at level spikes for both sides, because you'll notice that Rekkles has already hit level 6, Bwipo hit 6 a little bit earlier, but more importantly, Jankos is getting closer and closer to that level 6 mark. In fact, just going to take over it, and this is where G2 can really start to be proactive. Caps doesn't have to feel afraid about setting up for these invades, looking for plays, because he's going to know that that Shen ultimate is primed and ready to support him, and the same can be said for Wunder. Both solo laners from G2, don't be surprised to see them unlocked and looking for picks.
Yeah, and it's the fact that they can dive, and also the fact that Jankos should just continue to increase his CS lead over Selfmade. You know, he doesn't have to take the same time in correcting his pathing to make sure that he can be there when his team needs him, because he'll just use his stand united, where Selfmade needs to be that much more efficient of dodging out Ashe, who just ruins every jungler's day, but pathing, clearing his camps, and setting up for ganks.
Glacial Fissure was used there onto Hylissang. He was pretty safe. I think it was a little bit too proactive from Mikyx as Selfmade comes down towards the bottom lane. He's going to use that Oracles, make sure that there's no one spotting him. But while this is all happening, see the Shen on the top side of the map. There's the curtain call, knocked back on Mikyx. Perkz able to dodge just towards the side. The stand united coming into Perkz as well. Hylissang's got the kill on Mikyx, but there's the taunt on Selfmade. Caught underneath the tower for the moment. He tries to flash away, but cannot escape. G2 get their first kill of the game. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Bwipo and Wunder are fighting. Wunder's dodging around as much as he can, but Bwipo's winning out that trade.
Good skirmishing on the top side of the map, and a pretty even trade towards the bot side. Fnatic had their eyes on Perkz, but they're going to settle for getting that kill onto Mikyx, of course. There's going to be a trade. Ulti comes through.
Enchanted Crystal Arrow hits Hylissang. He's already used the dash to get away, and the flash taunt from Jankos finds its mark.
So the really cool thing about Shen is he just has a lot of damage early. Because of how his abilities combine together, the bonus magic damage you can get on hit, the fact that he can mitigate auto attack damage is just so potent. So here we see they know that Selfmade is on the bot side of the map. They get information from him thanks to this, and our observers are highlighting it beautifully for us. So because they knew where Selfmade was, they respected that this gank was a possibility. Then as the play comes through, yeah, the ultimate was also used earlier. Thank you very much, observers, for highlighting that as well. So Fnatic are like, hey, this should be a very easy play for us because Mikyx doesn't have ult, the Ashe doesn't have 6 yet, so let's actually try and force this as Selfmade looks for the ult.
It's also the power that while this is all happening, the Rift Herald goes down. So Jankos gets the Rift Herald top side, and then also answers the play bot side, helping them pick up the kill.
Oof. It's like we're watching a movie.
Yeah. Deary me.
We get all the information, then of course, because Perkz got knocked outside of the ultimate from Rekkles, that made it easy for him to just buy time, wait for Jankos to arrive, and end up trading 1-for-1. And then of course, we get the ultimate come through from Perkz. Boom! Ultimate comes through.
I can't take too much more.
Guys, we probably have 5 games to get through. Like, we can calm it down just a tad.
Beautifully done from our observers as well. And now we're back in the game. So 2-2 is the kill score. Slight gold advantage for G2. And now we're kind of waiting again for these ultimates to come off cooldown. Bwipo's is going to be up soon. Same for Jankos. And that's where I expect another play to happen.
You can see the Rift Herald is still sitting on Jankos as well. About half that timer has expired, so expect him to use that before those plates fall in 3 minutes' time. Rekkles has gone back and picked himself up a BF sword and the Swifty boots, so he is actually a lot higher in pure damage per second than Perkz right now, who only has Zerkers and a Caulfield Warhammer.
Which is why Fnatic are going to feel so confident fishing for these kills. You can see that Selfmade's come in, Hilly's open with the ultimate already, and here comes Gragas.
And Hylissang's going in for the engagement. Mikyx actually caught out just a little bit. The taunt comes down. Hylissang still on the front line. Cap's trying to get him from behind. Rekkles trading onto Perkz, and Perkz will go down. So will Hylissang. Rekkles going to try and do what he can with the captive audience, but Jankos is on the chase. Cannon barrage used. Rekkles chained up at a double for Caps.
Ends up being a 2 for 2. Caps is able to get involved in the fight much earlier than Fnatic are, and that means that both bot lanes end up falling there. G2, Perkz and Mikyx, they're getting punished a lot by this Fnatic squad, but Cap's able to turn things around.
It also means kind of disaster zone. You know, the last person that you want to see start picking up some kills is Caps, especially on a champion like LeBlanc, because it feels like everyone's like, yeah, it's G2 versus Fnatic. For me, in G2's current form, although I think game 1, it already looks much cleaner than it did yesterday, it was Fnatic versus Caps. And now Caps is set up to succeed, as Nemesis also now in trouble.
Does have flash, will use it preemptively there. Don't want to get those concussive blows procced on you, and Nemesis is now 15 CS behind, 2 kills behind, and going to struggle on this Orianna for the next while. Wunder trying to trade into Bwipo. Hexagolden Mason follows Bwipo on the flash. Jankos coming in with the Stand United, and that is a very dead Gangplank.
And that's the ultimate from Jankos that we were talking about once again. These solo laners from G2 can feel very confident in making plays because that support from the jungler is always going to be there, primed and ready to go. And it feels like that this Shen was the pick that G2 needed. So many questions were surrounding Jankos. Can he play the carry jungle meta? Can he fit into this style? And he's like, you know what, I'll do one better. I'll take set, I'll do everything that he does and more, and I'm only going to further enable my 2 solo lanes.
Wunder's actually going to jump him onto Nemesis. Nemesis with the shockwave hits. 3 exhaust still there, but the arrow will chase him down. There's the taunt, and there's the kill to Perkz, and it's all falling apart for Fnatic.
Well, look at the counterplay bottom. While it's all going wrong for Fnatic topside, Caps just picked up a kill.
Caps manages to kill
and he gets away!
Flashes away! He could go back if he wanted. Caps, he'll want a piece of this. He wants a little bit of the action as he dives forward onto Selfmade. The chains don't quite connect. Rekkles forces away his former teammate, and Selfmade and Rekkles will walk away wounded.
And for majority of the early game, Fnatic were the ones that were throwing the blows. They were the ones who were pressing the action there and kind of dodging out Caps roaming towards this top side. But as soon as Jankos has access to level 6, the map has completely opened up the other way, and G2 are starting to run away with this game. As the solo kill for Caps comes through here.
A lot of people question why is Caps our MVP. It's because he does things like this. When he gets champions like LeBlanc, when he gets champions like Zoe, his outplay potential is real. And Selfmade is trying to read Caps here. He thinks that he's going to go back in. He doesn't know. He delays it. He waits for the W cooldown to come off. Remember, his W is at max level right now, and he's able to go back in and poke a little bit back. So what was a 4-4, what was a dead even game between the two teams, now 7-4. And G2 is sitting with a 3k gold advantage.
And I honestly feel like Fnatic are on the precipice right now. They're teetering on the edge of a cliff, and G2 are just ready to push them over, right? Like, it's only the first game, but after Fnatic had such a good start, to see G2 now just totally slam them in the last few minutes is disheartening to say the least, and a worrying trend for Fnatic.
I mean, you've got to remember that Fnatic's comp still scales very well. They still have a lot of strong team fighting tools, and I think that if they can keep or stem the bleeding, as it were. You know, kind of slow the game down just a little bit, stop G2 from making all these plays, then they're good. Because remember, first Drake hasn't even been taken yet. 50 minutes into the game, and that Dragon Soul is not something that Fnatic really have to stress about.
Because there's no pressure for either team's composition to need to stack Dragons. And as we talk about, you know, slowing the bleeding, because I do agree with you, they need to make sure that they're more high percentage plays.
Hook's going to land here onto Wunder, and he is done now. Rekkles takes the kill. 3-1 and 2 now on the Jhin.
My favorite thing about that, though, was still the fact that there were 3 members of G2 in the river that were about to come down bottom, and now that they see that Selfmade's bot, Nemesis is in a lot of trouble.
Jankos looking for the taunt. Won't quite connect on it. Nemesis with the shockwave is actually going to pull Jankos back underneath the turret, and Jankos takes about 4 tower shots there. Perkz still pushing in the mid lane, as Rekkles and Hylissang will do the same in the bottom. Arrow lands alongside the Glacial Fissure. Nemesis knocked up, shut down, stunned up. Perkz gets the kill, but a great knockback with the cast. Oh, Mikyx dodges away from it, Selfmade. It's a game of inches, and he can't quite land it, and the Stand United from Jankos to get himself out.
The CC had been used. Jankos knew that he had an all clear there to just ult himself out of that one. And G2 came to play today. You are no longer seeing the mechanical mistakes that you saw yesterday in their series versus Rogue. Every time Fnatic and G2 meet, they always elevate each other. They always bring out the best, and this is what I want. I want two teams playing well and one team just playing better.
And right now, it feels like G2 are the ones playing better. Look at the CC combination. He does not have any summoner spells. Nemesis does not respect the ultimates. He gets CC down, and Selfmade, he tries to make the hero play here. That ultimate was beautiful. The flash E coming in, but Mikyx's able to just flash out in time, meaning that Selfmade can't get any kills. And as you said, Frost, no more CC left, meaning that the Jankos can just get out with the Shen ultimate. Beautifully done by G2.
I mean, last time we saw Fnatic G2 in a finals, it was spring, and G2 came in with the Kog'Maw, with the Lulu, and totally upset the expectations of the series. Here, it feels like they have done the same with this Shen in this first draft. They've brought a new pick in, they've done some dark technology, and it's working so well for them.
You can see that Fnatic still recognize when and where they are strong. They know that the Shen ultimate is down for now, so they can kind of pick and choose where they want to attack on the map. And it was that Dragon as TP into the top lane. Wunder going deep.
Has the Hexagon made him, going to dive onto Bwipo. Bwipo unable to walk out of the cage for the moment, but will have the flash up in just a second, and Bwipo is just forced away. Meanwhile, the mid lane tower, the target hit for G2 as they continue to up the tempo, up the pressure, and the arrow connects onto Hylissang. He'll be able to use his anchor to get the hell out of dodge.
There is just too much pressure on every point of the map from G2 right now. The fact that you have teleports on both the solo lanes, that you're dealing with the Stand United in the jungle, and that you have a global Ashe Hour and the Hawk Shot, G2 are everywhere. They are attacking everything at once, and Fnatic are doing a good job trying to keep up, but that's what it is. They're trying to keep up. They're trying to survive this onslaught.
I think that Fnatic had a good game plan coming in, right? When you have Jhin and Nautilus, this 2v2, very strong, very powerful. It was G2 that actually demonstrated initially how powerful this 2v2 could actually be during the regular season. And the fact that Selfmade invested so much, you can see 1, 1, and 4. He's been involved in every single one of Fnatic's early game kills. And when we talked about Selfmade, we weren't kidding. He is the linchpin when it comes to making a lot of aggressive plays. He is the guy that's supposed to elevate Fnatic to be able to take down G2. They did it last week, but so far in this early game, the problem I find for Fnatic is that they couldn't stop Caps. And the reality is that while they were investing a lot of kills and they were shutting Perkz and Mikyx down, Caps was still getting kills. He's now at 3-0-0. He has a CS advantage. He has a level advantage over Nemesis. And when you move Nemesis off to a side, he just can't stop either Wunder or Caps, who have so much pressure elsewhere on the map.
And Caps is just an avid reader. Every single game, he just finds who's going to be his book salesman. He's like, okay, yeah, I'm stacking them every single time. And it so quickly spirals out of control, especially on a champion like LeBlanc, who has so much agency to go in, out, and keep those stacks for longer.
And I think it's interesting because when we look at the series yesterday, when they played against Rogue, Rogue's intent and the way in which they beat G2 so many times was shutting Caps down. They would just rely on Hunt Summon Advantage to straight up win the 2v2. And of course, this is a long series. We'll see how things progress, and maybe Fnatic can still come back. But right now, Wunder has his eyes on Selfmade.
And Wunder diving in here. Selfmade's almost dead already. The arrow lands on Rekkles, but he's going to cleanse it away. Wunder down to about a third HP. Shockwave doesn't connect. Jankos still on the front line. Flashes over the wall. Rekkles getting chased out by Caps. Caps looking to add some pages to that book. Gets the kill on the Jhin. Glacial Fisher not quite connecting, but it's a 5v3 in favor of G2, and Caps isn't quite done yet. Bwipo, Nemesis, and Hylissang limping their way towards the bottom lane.
And G2 got what they want, though. You know, there's nothing for Fnatic to get down there. Maybe a pick off of Wunder, but meanwhile the rest of G2 immediately run towards the mid lane, shove those waves in, and we'll get better resets.
Yeah, the awkward thing for Fnatic right now is that they're stuck on the bot side of the map. Look at Shen and Ashe right now, just stealing the entire top side away. So Selfmade, he ends up dying, but he's got nothing to come back to on the map. All of his farm is being denied. He's now 2 levels down. Wunder gets engaged on.
Able to interrupt the hookshot wall dive there, but Mikyx still in range to make sure that Wunder didn't go down, and now Caps is on the chase. He's got 10 pages. He wants a few more names on his death note. Hylissang exhausted, Wunder almost down. Nemesis looking for the final auto attacks, but he hasn't got the mana to do anything more. He flashes forward. One last auto attack will get the kill, but Caps secures the counter kill on Nemesis.
Sign of desperation there from Nemesis and Hylissang. They spent so much time sitting in the bot lane. It gave time once again for Caps to show up, and yes, you got that kill onto Wunder. That's a good bit of gold, a nice little shutdown. But as you rightly said, that's more stacks on the measures for Caps. This mid laner, this MVP is continuing to ramp up. He's now found Selfmade.
He even chases him. Couldn't see him at all, but manages to get the chase and then dodges away from the... Okay. Okay, Caps, you're styling on him. It's a little bit too much for game 1 of the series. Please hold something back.
Okay, coming into this, Vedius, you and I were talking backstage, how would Fnatic solve the Caps problem? How would they hide Nemesis or protect him? Because the thing is Larssen had a great series yesterday, but Larssen is also a better performing mid laner than Nemesis is this split. They put Nemi on the Orianna. We knew that it was going to be a Zoe, Syndra, or LeBlanc. Like, pick your poison. One of them is coming through. Yep. You survive the lane phase. But now Fnatic as a team, because this isn't only on Nemesis, Fnatic as a team need to make sure that when they are picking these fights, that they have to account for the Caps factor. They let this get out of control, and either they switch it up and they try to give Nemesis more firepower rather than just surviving the lane to hold him down, or, I don't know, you start throwing 20 bans at this guy. I don't know how to keep him out of the game.
I think a lot of responsibility also falls on Hylissang to be able to find successful roams. We saw him come mid very early on into the game, and we'll see if he can find more picks, but it seems like Caps is the one that is currently on the hunt. And I think what's interesting is, I think we can all agree that when you look at the strengths and weaknesses of both teams, everyone would say that Fnatic, bot side of the map, heavily favored. Yep. But solo laners kind of swings the way of G2. The biggest question mark was, what about the jungle difference? Because while we were talking about how to deal with the Caps problem, we were like, how does G2 deal with the Selfmade problem? Like, this man has been on a tear so far in playoffs, and it seems like the Shen has been the answer, because not only does it give Jankos an early game playmaking jungler, it's also something that can play around the solo lanes, which is, of course, the big strength for G2.
And now, do you just ban the Shen away? Do you deny this from Jankos, and then does he look like the fool that he looked like yesterday? Do they have another answer? So, for game 1, I'm glad that the Shen came out. I'm curious if he'll get his hands on it again, especially if G2 close out this game.
Problem is, if you then leave up that ban, you have to see who else you can get rid of, as Bwipo is dived in the top lane. No real escape for him. The taunt comes out. Jankos and Wunder will secure that kill. But yeah, if you ban Shen, you're not banning Kate. You're not banning Set. You're not banning Hecarim. You're giving G2 something else that's strong.
So, and they can flex it. Remember that. So that's the craziest thing too. It's like the perfect G2 pick. And also, it allows them to bring split push back. You know, we talked about in the draft, like split push you don't normally see, but it's not just that 1v1 in a side lane. The way in which you can push that advantage without getting punished is just by throwing the Shen ultimate down, getting a quick kill. Then all of a sudden it becomes a lot harder for Fnatic to play around that objective that they want to play around. And right now it feels like the Fnatic came in with a good game plan. They executed through the bot side of the map extremely well. And it gives me hope that throughout the rest of this series, Fnatic is definitely looking competitive and they're ready to play. But game 1, it seems like G2 has shown their cards and they're looking very convincing.
Now, as we take kind of a reset and, sorry, Wunder, and look at kind of the game state as it is and what will be the next steps. Naturally, all the outer towers have gone down for Fnatic. Fnatic should start grouping up a bit more here. Bwipo is now level 13, so he can pull off some of those more team fight-oriented barrel maneuvers. And so Fnatic probably going to be looking for picks and death ball.
Jankos there, caught out by Selfmade, able to jump away with the taunt. It is now a 5,000 gold lead for G2, has ballooned over the last few minutes. Jankos going Redemption Locket here on the Shen. Pure utility is his main aim. And
we talked about how Fnatic were going to look for the death ball composition. They tried to find the pick. G2 denied it from them. And look at the map and look at old school G2. That is a top laner who is split pushing. That is your mid laner who is split pushing. And Fnatic then have these very tiny windows where they can try to crack the rest of G2 in the mid lane, and then have to rush over and save their solo laners.
Here comes the Shen again.
That's just like, oh, you thought you had a tower here, Nemesis? I'm afraid you do not. Jankos comes in with the Stand United, and Nemesis running for his life, just fighting to survive here as Jankos lands the taunt, and Caps will be gifted the kill for those Magi. Stacks minions. Okay, Caps.
He's actually gonna live, isn't he?
He survives for the moment.
Run, Nemesis, run!
You have a lot more faith in Nemesis than I do right here. Caps.
Run to Baron, Fnatic, run to Baron!
But the problem is, like, what can Fnatic do, right? Like, we talked about their team fight composition, we talked about their possibility of long-range engage, but G2 are just that much stronger right now that even a long-range engage will not work. TP flank here as Caps goes onto the back line. Wunder trading here with Bwipo. And Bwipo will put down the cannon barrage, and Caps almost just demolishes Rekkles. Goodbye, Jhin. 7 kills, 22 stacks on the Medjais. Caps is getting tired of reading. He wants to massacre Fnatic instead. Mikyx diving in, Perkz there, gets the concussive blows onto Hylissang, and Caps is there for the follow-up. Good knockback from Selfmade, but you have to feel that's way too little, way too late as Caps once again jumps over the wall. and Selfmade will be taunted up. Caps goes legendary, 17 kills to 7 in 26 minutes. G2 are playing with Fnatic.
And Mikyx is just keeping Bwipo preoccupied. Notice that the TP is still available for Wunder, and he may well want to give that kill over to him. But this has just been nothing but systematic destruction from G2, attacking Fnatic across the map. The mid laner, the MVP of Summer, is sitting at 8 kills, a fully stacked Mejai's, and we're gonna get a look back at this fight.
So he picks up the kill, he backs, he goes to the base. He also has teleport, and let me tell you, as an AD carry main, there is nothing that will ruin your day faster.
That's definitely true, Frosk. You can see Rekkles just being like, guys, I'm in a safe position, until he suddenly looks behind him, and lo and behold, the Hunter has arrived.
Oh no, it's just... What's the counterplay?
He does everything that he can as well.
Yeah, he dodges everything apart from the W. Like, I feel so sorry for Rekkles in that situation, and then Fnatic just run down in the end. Like, they try and turn it around. There's a couple of good plays, but they're just too far behind at this point. 8,000 gold down. Bwipo now facing off against Caps. And it's less of a face-off and more of a one-sided brawl as Caps dives forward once again. Bwipo trying to get underneath the turret. Change don't quite connect. Jankos still tanking it up. Caps dives forward once again. Bwipo still surviving for a very long time here as Rekkles now opens up. This would be a great kill for Fnatic to get, and Caps has gone way too far. The shockwave, oh, Caps still gets the kill! He's still in a 1v5, manages to get a kill on Rekkles.
All right, Nemesis, he messed up the shockwave there, isn't quite able to land it, giving Caps that very brief window, and that's all he needs. He will lose 10 stacks on his Mejai's, but Fnatic definitely felt that one.
I'm gonna say, that's pretty good though, a good trade. 10 stacks on the book, that's like, the math checks out.
But it's about sending a message, right? Like,
but also,
Listen, message received.
G2 also don't have to stop split pushing. Jankos is level 15. He's like the same level as Nemesis, and Shen's job in a normal game is to just sit on a side. Like, look at the XP difference between G2 and Fnatic, and it really has just been about the solo laners this game.
But this is G2 getting to play G2 style. The biggest issue is that they kept saying it, you know, we no longer get to play the style that made us famous in this meta. We don't like to do it, and it was a matter of what would they find to break the meta? The longer that they got to sit on a patch, and it is Shen. That is what has broken it. Thank you, North America.
Who knew that G2 and TSM were secretly plotting to take over the world?
G2 said they wanted to scrim C9, then C9 lost, right? So TSM was the next target for them. G2 in such a strong position here, 8,000 gold ahead. They have 2 dragons, the Ocean and the Cloud, and they are... Only 1 outer tower remains for Fnatic. Baron about to expire though, so we'll see what G2 decide to do next. Expectation, 1-3-1.
Well, so the awkward thing for G2 right now is that the Baron's about to run out. They haven't actually cracked into the base of Fnatic. G2 Siege is definitely not weak, but Fnatic's wave clear is very strong.
Yeah.
With a Gangplank, with an Orianna, the moment this Baron disappears, it becomes a lot harder for G2 to siege unless they actually find a successful pick. So you're relying on Fnatic making a mistake here, and credit to Fnatic, they are a team that is known for doing a great job of stalling out the game. So I still don't want to count Fnatic out yet. I still think that they have tools to be able to win a big 5v5. It ultimately comes down to how easily can G2 break into the base of Fnatic.
Yeah, and that does start with dive potential. And if you look at the itemization that Fnatic have, the fact that you have things like Zonya's Hourglass, the oranges from Gangplank, as well as the reset potential from Selfmade, it is still very risky for G2 to try to dive into Fnatic unless they really execute perfectly.
Well, right now they're trying to clear out some of the vision that Fnatic had lain in their own jungle. Triple oracles on the side of G2, just don't want Fnatic to have any awareness of where Caps is. You can see Fnatic going for the extra fast sight alterations, just trying to spot out anyone sitting in their jungle. 3 men pushing in top. Wunder in the bottom lane as Bwipo tries to trade onto him, but Bwipo still only level 15. Wunder just dives forward. The cannon barrage comes out, but there's the Hextech ultimatum, and here's Jankos. Bwipo underneath the tower, surviving for as long as he can. Jankos able to flash away. The wall jump from Wunder will get into safety. Jankos should fall here. Rekkles just needs a final auto attack, but the curtain call comes out. Wunder's going to block a couple of shots here. Jankos trying to get out the back of it. Wunder dodging to the side, dodging to the left. Selfmade flashing forward, does manage to kill the Camille. But meanwhile, in the top lane, the shockwave's going to land. Caps has gone to mid, and Mikyx's been caught underneath the tower. Hylissang on the chase. Perkz is going to die here as well. Oh, he flashes away, and here comes Caps. Nemesis dies. Perkz survives. Hylissang rooted up underneath the remnants of his tower, which was raised to the ground, but it now manages to get the shutdown from Rekkles. Fnatic fight back in the final moments of this game.
You have to execute perfectly. Fnatic still have all of the tools that if you mess it up, they'll take off the whole arm right there. And I think the biggest misexecution was the fact that Wunder and Jankos tried to pressure bot tower without the wave being set up in top tower, so you couldn't cleanly trade this. Take a look at the mini-map right now. The minion wave hasn't crashed yet on that top in-hit tower, so while G2, Jankos, and Wunder do get a lot of members to respond to them and waste a lot of Fnatic's time, it's still not quite long enough for Perkz to trade something for it.
And note that Wunder and Jankos do buy a lot of time because Selfmade and Rekkles are forced to deal with this, but it's not enough because G2 kind of split a little too much. And notice that Mikyx even drew tower aggro because he landed a Q onto Nemesis. That was his window to actually go in and punish him. And then if it wasn't for Caps here, this could have ended much worse than it actually did. Good heal coming out from Perkz, and then the response from Caps. Gets both summoner spells out from Nemesis, but then here, look, the Deadly Flourish coming out from Rekkles to land that root gives Hylissang all he needs to set up the play and get the kill down onto Rekkles.
Huge gold shutdown for Rekkles there. That is going to be massive.
You can see he's actually got more gold than anyone in the game right now. 16,000 sitting on that Jhin, 15,000 on Perkz. Caps only at 14,700. A meager amount for the LeBlanc, although he has got 19 stacks of Rabadon's Death Cap, a Luden's Echo, and a Zhonya's Hourglass, alongside the Oblivion Orb for just that little bit extra magic penetration. Baron back up in 14 seconds, Ocean Dragon in 37, but it's not soul point for anyone. So you have to feel G2 are going to try and set up their vision control around this topside jungle.
Yeah, I think that G2 care less about the Baron and care more about finding picks. Like, Hylissang face-checking here, he feels a little confident because he has Selfmade and Rekkles right behind him, but this is the danger zone for Fnatic right now because they can never be sure if the Baron is being started or not. So notice how they're just kind of grouping up together as G2 look for the pick.
Selfmade has a really good flank position here. Hylissang's trying to trade back, but the rest of Fnatic have already left him. Hylissang's still alive here. Manages it to get out for the moment, still surviving. The shockwave coming down as well. There's the shutdown. Rekkles finds one, Selfmade finds another, and Perkz is going to eat up the Curticle. 2 shots taken. Caps still alive. The stopwatch used by Selfmade. Hits Wunder from the side though. Bwipo able to kill Perkz, and this is a great fight for Fnatic. And we thought they were dead, we thought they were buried, but Fnatic are fighting back. Wunder has to flash away. Caps still up towards the top side of this, but Wunder is done for. One survives for G2. It's Caps. He's carried the team through the split. He has to do something miraculous here.
And there was a massive difference there. Rekkles didn't have a LeBlanc into the backline, was able to really play slowly around all of that time that Hilly bought them. And now, like you said, it is MVP against the world as Fnatic look to take the Baron.
What a fight back from Fnatic. Caps is gonna back, does have the TP, but won't be here in time. Fnatic with the Baron, fighting back from 8,000 gold behind.
Taking another look at this replay, Hilly tanks this forever. That Gargoyle Stone Plate really paying off here alongside the shield that Orianna is going to provide him.
And look at how patient Nemesis is as well. He doesn't want to waste his ultimate just yet, but then he realizes that, hey, actually, Rekkles and I are doing more than enough damage over this wall. The shockwave can then come through. Perkz is now in an awkward position, and everything just comes together for Fnatic.
And one of the nice things about playing Jhin in this composition is that Shen isn't really itemized as a tank. He's more of a secondary support at this point, which means that Jhin is going to have kill pressure on anyone. He can two-shot a LeBlanc.
Yep.
He can hit Ashe, probably completely destroy her. Like, Rekkles is massive. He just needs to stay alive, and Fnatic just need to give him opportunity.
And I will say, I love Hylissang's itemization choice to help Rekkles stay alive. He's gone for the Redemption second on a Nautilus. You don't usually see that. Usually you build a little bit more tanky, but having the extra healing after Caps chunks someone out, having that sustain when Wunder's sitting on top of you can work so well. Selfmade just about able to survive with the stopwatch. Cap's going to pop one of his own. Hylissang trading off towards the backside as Mikyx gets the kill on Selfmade. Wunder dives in, trying to get onto the background. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to hit Hylissang, and you can see how low Wunder is. He's down. Bwipo trading with this as the shockwave hits 2. Rekkles still alive. It's a 4v3 in favor of G2, but they will just back away for the moment. That dragon's still alive, and we are getting to a point where you wonder, if G2 had been a little bit quicker on taking some of these dragons, we could be on soul point already.
I mean, the reality is, regardless of what situation G2 is in, Cap still does Cap's thing.
That's true.
He's able to find that small pocket of vision. Selfmade does the face check, and then lo and behold, Caps is lying in wait and is able to find that pick. G2 went in very aggressively afterwards after Caps was forced to disengage, but look, he's just using this pocket of vision. Selfmade gets bursted out, uses the W to perfection. And then Rekkles is like, no, 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 I'm going to punish you. But then, of course, the stopwatch comes through here. And then Wunder sees his opportunity, dives into the backline, has the Shen ultimate on top of him, and then committed to this dive. But then Nemesis buying time himself, utilizing the Zhonyas. But at this point, it's already a one-team fight for G2. Fnatic have to disengage, otherwise they're going to lose a lot more than just 2 people.
Yeah, the time bought there on the Zhonya's Hourglass from Caps as well as Wunder's Engage. It was just a matter of whose front line was going to die first, and in that scenario, it was Fnatic's that fell first.
And I'm still keeping my eyes on Rekkles because, Frosk, I really love the point that you made. Outside of Jankos and Mikyx, the front line is very squishy for G2, which means that Rekkles is in a perfect position to carry on this Jhin.
And I want to talk about the Rekkles Hour. It's a very special time that happens in G2 and Fnatic games. If a game is decided by a gold lead pre-30 minutes, G2 have a massive win rate over Fnatic. If they beat Fnatic early, they smash them. Now, if Fnatic do manage to survive post 30 minutes, when AD carries traditionally are valuable, suddenly it looks a lot better for Fnatic. Fnatic have always had this superstar ADC. The issue is that normally Rekkles doesn't get to play the game when he faces G2, but now he is set up to do so to perfection on this Jhin, and maybe he will be the difference maker for Fnatic in the same way that Caps is the difference maker for G2.
And I think that Rekkles, throughout Fnatic's struggles, this split has been the consistent benchmark of this team, with very polarizing performances from pretty much everyone at various points. He's the guy that's always been Mr. Consistent. That is what his title has become throughout the years, and I think that Fnatic would not find the amount of success they have without him. So now is his opportunity to shine once more. He has 7 kills on the Jhin. He's going up against his former teammate of Caps, and the question is, which one can come out on top? The Fed mid lane assassin or Rekkles on his Jhin?
Rekkles does have the more of Malmortius, though. Some shielding against that LeBlanc trying to dive in. He's got the Redemption. He's got a locket on its way for Hylissang.
Caps has 25 stacks on his measure, Mikyx.
Vedius, with the I agree, okay? Trying to give Fnatic fans a little bit of hope, because actually in the middle of this game it seemed like they had none, and they have fought back and they have clawed their way back into this match, and it's looking a lot closer than it did at the 15 to 20 minute mark.
It means the vision game becomes that much more important, which is hard because we're starting to see 6 items come out, so you're losing some of those slots where you could have control wards. And you can see Hilly face checking very confidently. Fnatic have to be on perfect form to make sure that they can find Caps. As long as Rekkles has eyes on Caps, before Caps goes in and deletes him, he's gonna feel confident to make moves. And if they lose track of this guy, that's when Rekkles is living in a nightmare.
Just keeping my eyes on the 2 solo lanes for G2 right now. I saw Wunder moving through the topside jungle and thought he might be setting up for a flank, but instead his priority is just pushing out these waves. This is what G2 has done consistently. And you know, one of the big problems that split push comps always had in the past was when you play against teamfight comps, how do you actually break into the base? And that's why Baron was so valuable. Remember when Baron was actually very weak and very easy to take, split push comps were kind of the bane of existence, because the moment you got Baron, it became impossible to stop them from just breaking into the base. But Fnatic have done a good job, and now it will ultimately come down to this next Dragon Soul. Can Fnatic find that big team fight, or will they be able to take away the Baron once again from G2? Because without it, I feel G2 will not be able to crack the base of Fnatic.
And that's why it feels like that top inhib fumble was so important. The fact that G2 had the opportunity to crack the base there, and Fnatic held the line and denied them, as well as picking up massive gold shutdowns for their primary carries. If there is a point in this game where Fnatic come back with the win, it was in that crucial line.
And this is also where we often talk about Bwipo's Gangplank, like the ability to stall on this champion. The way in which he utilizes his barrels and the ultimate is so potent, and now he's got himself the GA. He also has a stopwatch. He can buy so much time for his team.
We'll see how Fnatic are able to approach the next few minutes of this game. Baron up in 2, 40 seconds on the Ocean Dragon. If we just have a look at that bot side jungle, guys, you can see how much vision G2 have over it right now. Wunder on a ward, but G2 have littered the top of this jungle with vision of their own, whereas Fnatic don't really have those deep wards, don't really have that advanced vision line that you'd really want when you're looking at this Ocean Soul in only 20 seconds time.
But the big key things is that both the teleports are available for Wunder and Caps. It only takes a single ward, a single minion wave for Caps to get a better position here, as we are lining up for a big fight for Soul.
Look at top lane right now. So what Caps is doing is he recognizes Nemesis does not have Zhonyas yet. With the stopwatch gone, Nemesis, the moment he gets that, will be able to stall a lot more. So Caps is trying to find a pick before he can get it, because that's G2's windows to be able to get themselves a Baron.
It's gone. There's Ocean Soul for G2. so rare you see a team just unable to fight around it, but Fnatic couldn't, and they're trying to catch Caps in the top lane, but Caps is well out of there. Of course, LeBlanc very slippery, even if they can find the connection. Caps still has a tower, a tier 1 to fall back to if he wants, but he's just going to wait in this bush.
Disaster. And this is usually...
I mean, it's great for G2.
This is usually how G2 would beat their opponents. They'd be able to outmaneuver them on the map. It's why split pushing made them such a powerful team when that was in the meta. And of course, as the Souls were so powerful, Baron was so powerful, and the meta turned into more team fighting, suddenly our better team fighting teams like our Fnatic started to rise up in the rankings alongside the Mad Lions and Rogue. But things have been turned on its head. Fnatic still aren't out of this one yet, but it does get harder to defend this Baron when you have to constantly worry about your side lanes.
I think in an ideal world, G2 don't actually want another fight. They do have the Ocean Soul, but with double Zhonyas, with a stopwatch, with GAs, with just so many tools for Fnatic to stall, drag out a fight, I feel Fnatic is actually very capable and even stronger in a straight-up 5v5. So G2 need this Baron to be able to split up and separate Fnatic, because right now I think that's the only way that they're able to actually break into the base and end this game.
And huge pickup as well. Hilly also getting his Locket just now.
Oh, yeah.
So you have the Redemption, you have the Locket, you have the Gargoyle Stone Plate. Hopefully they keep Rekkles alive through Caps' burst damages. Caps probably going to trade his life here.
Yeah, he's got caught out. Shockwave comes down, but he's going to use the stopwatch, gets the inhibitor. Meanwhile, the rest of G2 are setting up around this Baron. Hylissang's going to get caught out with the arrow. The rest of Fnatic on their way. The hook comes in. Hylissang still has the Gargoyle, still has the Redemption, still has a lot of shielding. Selfmade trying to get into the middle of the fight as the Redemption comes out from Jankos. He's frontlining, knocked back by the Casker's Perkz. But G2 have been able to disengage.
Here comes
Hylissang
Bwipo.
survives. Here comes Bwipo, teleporting behind them. Remember, he's got the GA, he's got the stopwatch, he's got a long way to survive. Nemesis stepping forward as the curtain call comes down, and Wunder rejoins the fight from the bottom side. It's a 5v4 in favor of Fnatic. Perkz dived on by Selfmade, but he's going to flash out of the back of it. Bwipo still on that front line. Hylissang now going in, joining his teammates. Selfmade's down. Perkz gets the kill. Hylissang stepping forward once again. Rekkles trying to get the damage up, but those shots are too slow. They're too weak right now as Wunder dives forward, dives back. Incredible stuff from Wunder as he just stands at the edge of the team fight and baits out the hook from Hylissang.
And in a 4v5, G2 were able to hold the line this time against Fnatic, and with Caps respawning in 9 seconds, his TP up and available, you have to wonder how G2 were able to get away with that. Caps taking an inhibitor, end up trading 1-for-1 overall, and G2 will also lock down the Baron.
Oh, with no jungler alive, this one is going to be free. Like you said, the TP from Caps comes into the mid lane. He immediately starts pushing out the wave. And surely with the top inhib down, with the Baron now collected for G2, they have everything they need to really destroy Fnatic's base and sink their teeth into a possible Game 1 victory.
It's taken them a lot longer than I think many people expected, but they have managed to take everything off the map. G2 in a strong position here against Fnatic. They've been forced to show all of their cards. Caps going in. Look at that healing from the Ocean. He's almost back to full HP. He was half just a second ago. Hook goes wide. Caps dives in once again, and Hylissang's going to have to walk his way back to the base. Get back to the Fountain of Youth because you are not long for the Rift. Caps goes in. Nemesis flashes away. Wunder trading with Bwipo in the bottom lane. Remember, Bwipo still has the GA, so will come back. Heals himself up, but the inhibitor now in the mid lane has gone down. And G2 continue on the offensive. They continue to land punch after punch in the faces of Fnatic, and Fnatic can't get back off the map. G2 diving forward, diving the Nexus towers. Hylissang on the front line. The Gargoyle Stone Plate going to keep him healthy. Knocked back with Casker's Wunder as he goes onto the back line. Hylissang almost down though, and G2 are still so healthy. Perkz hooked. He's still surviving the shockwave, just about able to take him down on Caps. Now low as well, Fnatic. They've done it. They found the fight that they were looking for. They can't quite get the final kill on Wunder. Jankos limps away. G2, only 2 men left alive.
And once again, Fnatic hold the line. It is just both teams doing everything in their power to stop only Game 1 from ending. There's still a whole series left to go, and Fnatic are able to do it once again.
But it wasn't just Rekkles this time around. It was a huge team effort here from Fnatic, especially Nemesis with a crucial shockwave. Perkz gets caught up right here. Thank you, observers. Hilly with the hook right onto the Ashe. He brings some friends with him. The ball lands underneath, and G2 gets deleted. Whew.
Like, there's so much to keep track of. Like, the barrel as well did so much damage. Like, the Ocean Soul is what allowed G2 to win the 4 versus 5 earlier on, but the moment Fnatic had that opportunity to just focus one target down at a time, and the fact that Hylissang, like, if you have a look at the damage taken graph after this game, I feel like Hylissang's going to be really far up there. But, like, unbelievable that only in Game 1 both these teams are so neck and neck. And again, though, Fnatic stop G2 from ending the game. The Baron's going to wear out soon. G2 likely to get the Elder Soul. The question is, will that even be enough to end Fnatic's defense?
Listen, Vedi, the difference between a tank and an ant is just the follow-up that your team provides.
That's very true. That is so true.
Hylissang's got that above his PC in the game.
It's like tattooed on his.
That is a mantra for everyone, Frosk. I love that so much.
Oh, I will say, it's reminiscent of the words of Perkz at the end of last year. He said, "We may lose the game, but we will make them sweat for it." And that feels exactly like what Fnatic are doing right here. There's an Elder Dragon up in 17 seconds. They're an Ocean Soul down. They were Baron down. It is very likely Fnatic lose this game from this position. It's very hard for them to win, but they will make G2 work for every single inch before they give up that win.
But it's also the fact that at this game state, G2 probably need the Elder Dragon to compete with Fnatic's power in team fights. And even if they do have the Elder, if they're caught out, if they get landed on by a Shockwave, a Barrel, a Gragas ultimate, you can still pop them Elder or not.
Ooh, look at Hilly. He's on the hunt.
Looking for Wunder. Caps. Oh, he's still in the bush. And she's still going to keep him alive for the moment. Only 7 attacks on that Medjo. There's the cannon barrage. Caps trying to get away. Doesn't have flash. Gets rooted. Depth shot's going to chase him down. And there comes the damage. Caps is down. Jankos with a double taunt trying to get onto Rekkles. He has the Elder Dragon, just needs to get him down. Below 20% health, but he can't quite get close enough. Redemption used as well. TP into the base from Fnatic. They're seeing Charter Crystal Arrow. That goes wide. Wunder tries to stop the teleport from Nemesis because Nemesis was going back to the base to try and defend. And here comes the counter TP. Bwipo's going to join the fray. Wunder's down. Shut down for Fnatic. And they still have all 5 left alive, and they are wiping this Elder off the map.
You're not prey today, Perkz. He tried to find the cross-map arrow. He doesn't find the TP, and another phenomenal hold from Fnatic. And also, just a giant mistake from G2 that is rightfully punished.
And look at how the pages fall from Caps' book.
Yep.
From 25 stacks now down to 0. Caps has been caught out repeatedly, and this has just allowed Fnatic to continue to defend. Of course, even after a monumental fight win, they will not be able to convert this into a victory, but that's Elder basically gone. Only Perkz and Mikyx have it on their back pocket, and this is a best case scenario for Fnatic.
Also, the fact that their inhibs are going to be respawning soon. For the last, what?
5 minutes?
Yep.
They've been trapped in their base.
Yep.
Now, as these respawns come through, they'll be Fnatic are going to be able to start contesting to, again, be hunting for these picks that they've been so good at. And G2, you know, the early game was really strong. The snowball looks successful, but they've lost a lot of that power. Vedius talking about how the Magi's is no longer fully stacked for Caps. He's not going to be hitting as hard as he could have. The defensive itemization is coming for Fnatic. G2 might have thrown this game away. That was won.
100% agree with you. I think we do have to give credit to Fnatic as well. They have
Look at that
managed
gold
to find pick after pick. Selfmade pops the stopwatch. His team isn't here. There's no way they can help him. He tries to get away, but he's locked up, and Perkz will get the kill. Elder remains on him. And now Fnatic, well, you've got your inhib in the mid lane up in 10. Bot lane 23 seconds, but there's a Baron in 24. You're a man down for the next minute. G2 just trying to break open this base. Perkz going to get hit with the depth charge. Knocked up. Hylissang diving onto that backline. Rekkles opening up. Mikyx down to half HP.
Good flash.
Wunder dives forward. Nemesis is gone. Hylissang's gone as well. And Caps and Wunder dive onto the backline. And try as you might, Fnatic, you cannot stop the oncoming storm. G2 wipe Fnatic out of the rift. And we'll take Game 1 of this series in the longest game of summer.
You said it, Medic. Fnatic are making G2 sweat for it. This is only Game 1 of G2 Fnatic, but for now, G2 will lead the series.
Give me 5 games of that. Just give me that.
I would like to be able to speak at the end of the day.
We had 2 weeks off, Betty. It's fine.
Oh my word, like G2. Okay, so let's do a summary of the game. First 10 minutes, very even, very back and forth. Fnatic in best spot, G2 playing around the top side of the map. Then all of a sudden, G2 blow open the game with the Shen picks. Left, right, center, Caps outplays. He's getting fed on LeBlanc. 30-minute mark rolls around. Frosk, you called it with the Rekkles hour, but Jhin comes online. G2's making a bunch of mistakes that Fnatic's very quickly capitalizing on, and we end up in this back and forth 50-minute Game 1 where it could have gone either way.
Well, and I agree with all of that. Phenomenal anime summary there. The thing is that G2 showed everything. I don't know how many more aces up the sleeve that they have there. They showed the Shen, they pulled out the 1-3-1. Like, we had a completely different look. Old school G2 took the Rift today, and they brought it back with that pick. Do they have something else? Because Fnatic, frankly, showed nothing. That was exactly what they had run to get here.
It's true.
And they still almost managed to pull that game back. So in a best of series, we talked about it. There's not just the meta, the game, there's the Fnatic G2 meta, and it has started very early today.
We're going to get some more insight from our analysts as G2 kicked things off with a win. That's a great explanation for us. That was great. I loved it.
Charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Time for a show. Show 'em how you outplay. Go and check the replay. Dubs like all day. Boy, you better know. Know that it might be just a little hyphy. Trying to call about these watches go. Cause the games are straight fight. Every team fight coming down to the wire. The whole world trying just to look like us. Take a look at your league. Wish you played like us. Now time to shook reality. You're facing a tragedy when the European legacy comes sucking down your pride to be. Those feelings of anxiety. The future you don't want to see. The wrath of our whole dynasty. It spells LEC.
This could be the final chance. Our last dance together. This could be the final chance. Our last dance. Are you ready? Come on, dance with me. With the LEC. Come on, dance with me. Let yourself be free. Come on, dance with me. With the LEC. Come on, dance with me. Do that Pepe D.
Talk that good shit. Boy, you better back it up. If you want the LPL, sorry, that's just not enough, cause we got every team fighting lane flashbox. When they clash, you would never last less than 100. Bring your A game if you want to claim fame, that'd be your main aim. Now you're in the right lane.
Show up or shut up, no time for excuses. Can't take a series, you're probably just useless. You want a shot at us, you can come get it. If you're just talking, then you can forget it. We're gonna blow up, we're on the rise. Euphoria, this is the vibe. We wear the clown nose and we wear the crown. Kings of the West, you know we hold it down. Like
this could be the final chance. Our last dance together. This could be the final chance. Our last Are you ready?
Come on, dance with me, with the LEC. Come on, dance with me, let yourself be free. Come on, dance with me, with the LEC. Come on, dance with me, do that Pepe D.
We've come a long way since the beginning. The dark days of double streams, vacation memes, now charged up and charging forward. We are the LEC. We can't be stopped, slowed, or suppressed. This tenacity is EU at its best. It's time for the LEC loyals to show their fandom. Put your hands together. This is your anthem.
Come on, dance with me, with the LEC. Come on, dance with me, let yourself be free. Come on, dance with me, with the LEC. Come on, dance with me.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Summer Finals. G2 Esports are looking to defend their title tonight, and after a crazy Game 1, they somehow managed to come out on top. I say somehow because it looked like they would just wrap it up in 20 minutes after the first 10, and then it took a lot longer. Let's start at the beginning. Picks and bans for this first game and the mind games with the Shen.
Let me just start this off. First, I love the Shen, but we've been talking for so long about G2 and finding their previous form. Everyone's like, find that 2019 G2. That's what you need. Get back on the horse. No, play 2018 G2, and that's exactly what they did in this draft. Play like you have Yarnan and Wadid in the bottom lane. Play for your solo lanes, right? They went for this LeBlanc and the Camille that was so signature for them in 2018, and I really like the look.
I really like the look. I think just the Shen jungle pick really pieces it together perfectly. It covers up any weaknesses from the bot side because you can be everywhere at once, forcing the Ashe first pick and then putting Rekkles on Jhin, a champion that, you know, it's a bit, it's not like a full course meal, right? It's like an appetizer. It's not going to carry you the game if it's ahead. And I think with that in mind, Fnatic showed predictable things, and G2 came out in full force with something refreshing.
And it also looks like, you know, the plan works on multiple levels when you look at G2, you know, because you get that good pick in the top lane. But as you say, we talked so much about how strong Fnatic's bot lane could be versus the G2 bot lane, but you are able to neutralize some of that because of your draft.
Yeah, a lot of it came down to early on, Fnatic played really heavily around this bottom lane, and it looked good for them, right? Selfmade comes in with this gank, they're able to finish off Perkz. That's the advantage we expected to see from them. But later on, we saw Shen with a level 6, being able to influence the rest of the map with his ultimate, and also some roams from Caps to turn things around.
Yeah, the question in this entire early game, somehow Caps magically managed to roam everywhere and at the same time stay ahead in CS. You know, of course, Orianna got one plating, but what does that matter if Caps is taking over the whole map together with his Shen?
Yeah, and all Jankos was trying to do was play for Heralds. It was not about the Drake, so Jankos actually killed Herald right before TPing into this play. Then Perkz, with his ultimate, can finish off yet another kill and play to get a gold advantage in the early
You bring something up. All I've heard the last couple of months is dragons, dragons, it's all about the dragons, it doesn't matter, it's the dragons. What's going on here? Barely any dragons taken.
Usually you have the Drake timer happening, you know, at 4:30 when it spawns, you get it. But the Gragas as a jungler or some of these farm junglers, they can't really take it as effectively as some of the junglers that were previously in the meta. We saw Olaf just taking it, Volibear. He loves taking that dragon that spawns all the time. And this time around, only 2 dragons were killed at 20 minutes. That means
28 minutes. There were only 2. It was insane.
That's crazy. And usually that just means that a split push game can actually happen because those objectives become less relevant. And then you could see the Shen and Camille and LeBlanc in action on the side lane. These are the champions that need to get an advantage. They need to have a lot of gold before they can be effective in the team fights if you compare it to, for example, a Gangplank.
Exactly. G2 never wanted to play around the dragons. Fnatic did. So the fact that G2 were able to at least go even with a lot of those bot lane trades and, you know, kill some people so that G2 or Fnatic couldn't transition it into an early dragon, slowed down the overall pace of the game and made it so that there were not big objectives to fight over. And that's critical when you're trying to play a split push composition, because even later on in the game, we saw that sometimes Fnatic could win out in those fights because G2 were built for playing through sides.
You're going really fast. Let's first look at how they got that advantage, G2 and Caps, because I know it's a given, right? It's always, yes, he's gonna get ahead, but the way he just roamed every single time, you touched on it already, and built up such such an incredible lead on this LeBlanc was really mesmerizing in this beginning.
Yeah, and this is what Caps has become known for, right? Like, he comes into this bottom lane before Nemesis can get here. He gets 2 kills and then goes on to pull off 1v3 kills, you know, always escaping from these miracle, you know, in these miracle situations where Fnatic are throwing 3 people towards him. And as soon as LeBlanc gets kills, when there's a Camille she can play around, and there's a Shen ult always going to be on top of her as well, it creates so much pressure on Nemesis or Bwipo, whoever's trying to defend against that siege later, and we saw he could get towers later on.
I also like the shift in approach, because in the previous series we saw a lot of attention being put into mid lane. But Nemesis, I remember hearing in the interviews that, Nemesis was hugging his turret, and hopefully in the next game he's not going to do that. But with that in mind, Nemesis in the mindset, I need to survive the onslaught of the enemy 2v2. I just need to make sure that I don't die to ganks. But instead, LeBlanc is getting prio against Orianna because of this fear that has been building the entire split. And now LeBlanc is just pushing and roaming the whole map, which just, in all honesty, on paper doesn't make sense. But Caps makes the impossible happen.
He makes it work, definitely so, and it looked like it was done and over right then. And Ender, you brought it up, and I want to kind of explore this a bit more, but the game did slow down. There were opportunities all of a sudden for Fnatic. Why was that?
Well, I do want to criticize how G2 started playing the map, because if you actually look back to a lot of their plays, it was about playing through the side lane. Here, they go really hard for Hylissang. It looks like they're going to be able to pick him off, but a really good barrel from Selfmade knocks in 2 players so that you can follow up on that shockwave there too. That's a couple of kills. Now Perkz doesn't have a front line. You can try to chase him down there as well, and this became a chance for Fnatic. While they hadn't actually lost an inhibitor and G2 kept throwing members into them, if Fnatic can get you into the 5v5, they have a really good shot at winning.
Yeah, for sure. They have great champions that, like the Gragas, the Orianna. These are champions that want to be grouped up, but they had the opportunity to split the enemy up. All we wanted to see was a 2-2-1 with the Shen on the bottom side, Camille LeBlanc just cutting Gangplank in half, making sure that the enemy is split in half. But when they tried to do so, they were overcommitting, getting caught. Nautilus engages were landing, Gangplank ults were landing, and with that in mind, they just needed to be a bit more careful, because honestly, without that massive gold lead that Caps managed to accumulate, this game would have been, you know, swapped on its head completely.
I mean, in 2018, this is how G2 played, and they would send Caps to trail behind Wunder in a side lane and force dives on side. But with a Shen, you can actually get 3 people in a lane where the Fnatic are only expecting 1 so quickly, and that's how you break open the inhibitors. We saw that G2 actually started faltering around the inhibitors when they just were constantly battering at them, and Fnatic were able to collapse and punish. So I do want to see that evolution from them if they get a draft like this again.
I think this is such a good point by you, because like Caps is ahead of the play, so he'll be somewhere quicker than anyone else, and he has a Shen to double it up with. It's so dangerous. Fnatic now on the blue side for the next game. I was also surprised, Yamato. So what do you think they have in mind?
Well, the question is if they're just trying to change things up. We've seen this evolution in draft, how teams are banning Caitlyn and now also the Hecarim, because no one wants to first pick Ashe when Hecarim is open, because Hecarim does so well into the Ashe. Even though I think there's some counterplays there with the Blade Ruin King and Tabi, I think this is just the evolution of the meta right now. And with this being said, there's a lot of champions you need to ban on red, but G2 with the counter pick options, I think, can be more impactful when they have deeper champion pools than a Fnatic. When Fnatic just go for these staple picks, like the GP blind pick, they do so well on these. So I think blue side with a strong first pick is very beneficial for them, because I want them to have the Ashe.
I agree, because now G2 are going to have to ban the Caitlyn. They banned Lucian on blue side, they're going to have to ban it on red too. That opens up some champions, so we might not see Selfmade go to the Gragas. It could be something a little spicy.
And it could be completely different. Let's see, this rivalry keeps delivering, and G2 and Fnatic are just getting started. We'll be right back for Game 2.